anyway, Mother, how was the beginning, or how was the week in general? We have a lot to go through. This was a busy week of news.
Yeah, what went on this week? Let me see. I have to look and see. 8 to 10. I'm looking at my calendar. Something installing gas. What do we have? Oh, yeah. That's right. I was up at, I don't know if I could say it if she watches it, but I was up at Grandma's with
Grandma
your
doesn't know what's
dad.
going on.
And they were putting in her new meter. So we wanted to be up there, make sure the heat stayed on. So Dad and I installed the her new garage door.
Oh, it's finally done after a year.
Yes, Dad did the bulk of it. Did a very good job. It was so cold, Chris. So cold. We even had space heaters in the garage.
Wow, really?
And we were just there for the day. So we knew we had to get out of there because we walked in and something died somewhere in her townhouse. It stunk.
Oh, wow.
Right? So we knew we weren't staying over when we smelled that. So it's like, all right, let's get this done. Chop, chop, chop. Long story short, we're just about done. Dad's ready to go. Wants to eat dinner quickly, get something and go. I go in the basement. There's a flood by the heater. Yeah.
Define flood.
So you understand Grandma's basement. So there was a puddle.
So our grandmother's basement, real fast. You got to set the scene, Mother. It's all concrete all the way around. It's pretty big. I don't know how many square feet. Yeah, it's an unfinished basement, but the whole thing's concrete. So So when you say flooded, you mean like feet
There's
underwater?
Water.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. I walked down there and she had a puddle going from her heater.
Okay.
Like the size of, maybe a 5-foot diameter puddle.
Okay, that's pretty significant.
Then it broke off. Right. It went a little bit further over towards the wall under the window. And then there was another 5-foot puddle. Right. So it wasn't inches up off the ground, but there was wetness. And we're ready to go out the door. So you can't leave that. So I'm like, damn, what am I going to do? So Dad comes down. We can't figure it out. She has one outlet down there. 2 things plugged into it, her camera and a pump. Turns out, not to bore the listeners, but that one outlet, the GFI completely shot.
Oh, okay.
Every time I go up there, I got to call your uncle for something, Uncle Jerry for something. He's the electrician. I got to ask him something. So fortunately, Dad was there. He witnessed firsthand. There's always something at Grandma's. We thought we were out the door, and there it was.
Well, let me take it back because we had to do a little reset there. So the flooding, electrical cord, Uncle going back up. So now we just have a random extension cord going through the house.
Yes. So there's an extension cord that comes off a table in the basement, goes up the stairs, under the door, into the kitchen. An orange one gets plugged into the kitchen outlet because you have to plug it into a GFI outlet just in case. But before we left, I had to use all the towels that I brought up to Grandma's to leave there to wipe up the flood because it just, I want to get it done faster. Right. Throw those all in garbage bags, take them back with us in the car. We had a rental. And then use the mini vac that I have up there, the wet vac, to get it up.
Get it out.
Naturally, that wouldn't screw in, that wouldn't plug in. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, at that point, you just leave. Time to get rid of the house.
I couldn't leave it because, something happens, it's going to stink. Anyhow, we did it.
Doesn't it stink already from the dead animal, though?
That's what I mean. Now all I need is mold in the basement mixed with the dead animal. So I wasn't even going to look for the dead animal. I figured give it a week, the smell will go away. There's nothing you could do. But anyhow, that was the beginning of my week. So you can only imagine.
Right. Oh, I have to apologize to you because I didn't get to talk to you for Valentine's Day yesterday. I was so busy I didn't get to. So happy belated Valentine's Day, Mother.
Thank you. Your brothers called and sang to me. Happy Valentine's
Really?
Day
I was going to call, but then it was Aunt Sue's for the fundraiser and then came back. So I was like, and then I said I was going to call on the way, but Jordan was giving me a speech.
I'm sure you had time to get your candy. I'm sure you had time to get your candy.
Well, that's what just reminded me because I got your good Jivas the night before, the chocolates that you got me.
Godiva.
Put them down quick.
Godiva.
Put them down within a couple hours.
Great.
Threw it out.
It's Godiva, not Godiva. Godiva.
I'm a freaking American, but yes, I apologize. Dad told us to call, and I was like, I'll call Mom when I get the chance. And then I
Dad told you to call? Well, that's
Dad reminded us. I would have called anyway, but I was so busy, and then I was up late the night before because I had to get things done for the fundraiser. So I went to bed at like 5 a.m. on Friday, and then woke up at like 11:30, and then I had to get so much shit done. So
yeah, that's normal. That sounds like
I had to get some stuff done. Otherwise, I couldn't have gone to that fundraiser that I had to go to. But besides that, yeah. So the weekend's and then I just did my meal prep. It's been a long weekend. It's been the busiest weekend in a while. So
yeah, I take my car in on Wednesday and have it serviced. Do a loaner car. That wasn't too bad.
Nice.
So it takes all day just to do that. They have to do something to the new car.
Well, it's a freaking Lamborghini. Yeah. Of course, it's gonna take a while. Yeah, you can't. It's a Lambo. Of course.
Yeah. Anyhow, it was not a bad week, but we're moving into Lent. I sent you guys a text. Wednesday is the first day of Lent. Like, oh my goodness.
Okay. Well,
so I think, as I said to Dad, I think now neighbors need to take their Christmas lights down when you're about to
Someone told me yesterday that they just took their Christmas tree down. I was like, what the hell are you doing?
Oh, our neighbors still have all their lights.
Oh my God.
The people across the street, the ones who have the lights around their house that change colors.
Yeah.
They're having a baby.
Oh.
And they had a reveal party. We found out it was a girl, but I also know because the lights are now constantly pink at night.
Right. Oh, that's funny.
Like, okay, you don't have to reveal it anymore. We know it's a girl. It's been a month. Shut the lights off, okay?
That's funny. But all right, Mother, you ready to go through some news? This was a busy week of news. I don't even know where to. Well, actually, I do know where to start. Last week we had SuperBowl, right?
Yep.
We got to talk about what everyone's dying to know, which is the SuperBowl. Backlash, I guess. So we'll start with this. So, I mean, I think there's a couple things I want to course correct from last time we spoke about it, right?
Yeah.
So first off, I did not realize, I had to look into it. Puerto Rico is technically American, which we knew that already. But I always wondered, I know some people that are Puerto Rican. They never tell me they're American. They identify as Puerto Rican. So up until now, I did not really realize how American they were. They also pay taxes to the U.S., so, I mean, he's as American as any true American, But I do want to go over. So I'm just correcting things that we said on the last podcast. Yeah. Now, I think we talked about it.
We said that in the last podcast. We weren't 100% sure, but we knew that I knew he's Puerto Rican, and I knew they were considered citizens of the United States or a commonwealth.
Yes.
I believe Puerto Rico is a commonwealth.
But they pay taxes directly, but they do not vote, which kind of weird to pay taxes but not vote. Excuse me. So I think people are going to want our thoughts on the halftime show on the podcast because we talked about it last week.
Right.
Listen, guys, without all the backlash, this is before reading all the articles, I didn't mind it. I didn't think it was necessarily a bad Super Bowl show. Right. I think it was better than the Kendrick Lamar one where you couldn't even understand him to begin with and he was speaking English. But I think the first thing that I noticed, and I told you this, I know the whole point of this was taking foreign countries and especially Latin countries and bringing them to us. But by not putting English subtitles, even though his songs aren't in, you have $1 billion to work with for the halftime show and you couldn't pay someone to do some translations for the Americans. Instead of bringing everyone together, it seems like you brought all the Latin American people together and then excluded the Americans, if that makes sense. So that's kind of that. I didn't mind the music. I didn't understand it, but why would you not give us American subtitles or English subtitles in a country where the sport is played in America, right? So that to me is, let's bring everyone together except for the United States. Right. So go ahead.
Yeah. Well, this article had two videos embedded in it. Right. One shows you the crowd and they lead you to believe that everybody's so excited. But you know what? When you look at the crowd there, and granted, it's only one section, they're kind of just standing there. It's not like these people are that into it. They probably may not know the music or they don't know the words or whatever. They weren't that into it.
Yeah.
They're being respectful. I'm not saying they're not commenting or booing, but it's really just people standing there. Now, I wouldn't mind comparing that to other Super Bowl crowds with other performers to see if there's a difference, because I don't know if they've done that before, or maybe it stood out because people don't usually do that at halftime shows.
Let me tell you a big difference that I noticed, and I feel like no one's really reporting on this except for me, right? Because I come with the facts, not opinions. Every Super Bowl that we've seen in the past couple years,
Yeah.
It's usually at night. Like, it's darker because it's usually on this side of the country. That side, and the crowd's more involved with lights, with whatever, right? We've seen that, like the Coldplay one, if you remember Coldplay, like
Yeah, but it
lights
isn't a
everywhere.
dome. It isn't a dome, so you
I don't
can
think that was in a
darken it, I
dome.
think.
Oh, maybe it was,
Yeah,
but
I think the Super Bowl's always in a dome.
and
Oh,
to
maybe not
me,
because it's the West Coast,
yeah,
but
but to me, because technically for them it was like 5 o'clock when they do the Super Bowl, still
yeah,
sunlight
yeah.
out. It's kind of hard to get the crowd involved. So I kind of get it, but not making an excuse. I'm just saying that's kind of the difference. As I said, I didn't mind the actual performance. I kind of like how it was like, let's bring almost like a safari into the stadium. But again, to not understand anything that's going on, and even my friends who speak Spanish, they were like, oh, he didn't even play his most popular songs. It's like, oh, okay. So it's kind of a swing. And my question would be to, what's his name? Goodell, right?
Yeah.
What was the point of this? I know he's getting big. I know it's going to bring a lot of eyes to the Super Bowl halftime show. It actually brought over 135 million viewers all over the world. That's great. Don't get me wrong. But then I would say I expect a much higher viewership in the NFL next season in other countries. So if that doesn't happen, that was like, what's the point of this Super Bowl show?
Well, he lost a huge chunk of the audience. When the halftime show came on, only 26.5 million people were watching compared to last year.
In America.
It started at 48.6 million.
Yeah.
So half the people turned it off even before his show came on.
Yeah.
Which I watched it, because you had convinced me. Just go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, to your point, a lot of people, I think, we'll get to Turning Point USA in a second, but even though I wasn't the biggest fan of the halftime show, I'm kind of indifferent. I wasn't going to switch channels and pull up a live stream for a halftime show. I might as well just watch the Bad Bunny one and have an opinion rather than switch up everything. But go ahead. That's all I just wanted to say.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't watch the other show, and I was indifferent to. The whole game was pretty nothing special, to be honest. It was a terrible game.
Yeah.
Nobody was really. Not that we weren't into it, but it was East Coast, West Coast, so there was a wide range.
I would also say that if that game was more interesting, because let's be honest, and everyone's saying this, I'm not a sports person. Like, my brothers have said this. I've seen other podcasts say it. Yeah. That was one of the worst Super Bowls we've had ever.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I think if it was a great game, like if it was Patriots versus, which one was it? Was it Patriots and Giants was like the one where Brady made that huge comeback in like the fourth and won it?
No, the Giants won in that, but yeah.
Okay, whatever. You know what I'm saying. If the game was better, then I think more people would have been into the halftime show, in my opinion. But I think everyone by that first half was like, oh, we have 9 points and 3 field goals. This game sucks. I think a lot of people felt that way. So I don't completely fault Bad Bunny for that.
I'll take his. I'll say this. I think the opposite. I think because the game was bad, people were hopeful. Like, it would really help if it was a good halftime show. And I don't think it was a good one. And here's my take on it. I think it was every possible stereotype that you could have for a person from Puerto Rico, to the point where I'm like, this is kind of embarrassing if anybody else did this besides this guy. I mean, bananas in the tree and people climbing poles. I didn't understand about the whole wedding thing. A lot of people. I don't mind the people on the porch.
You want to know what that is? I'll tell you the wedding thing, because I got the scoop. Allegedly, that guy and his wife invited him to the wedding kind of as a joke. Like, he doesn't really know him, but in their country or wherever, they were like, oh, come to our wedding. And he was like, yeah, I'll do that. Then he got asked to Super Bowl, and he goes, how about we do the wedding at Super Bowl? And they were like, that would be amazing. So that was a real wedding.
Okay,
very strange though.
But okay, great. Nobody knew that. That's why it looks so ridiculous. To me, I was like, if that woman turns around and she's pregnant, this is another stereotypical. Like, it was just horrible. People with machetes in a field. I mean, he really did. In my opinion, they lowered it to like every stereotype you think of Puerto Rico. The bodegas where people just sit around there, and twerking and all that stuff. what I don't like is, and I can sense that from the audience, I don't know what you're saying. Are you making me stand here and watch? And in this case, these people paid money while you sit there and insult us because you have no idea. It's very possible in this day and age, like in 20, 30 years ago, you would have been murdered if you insulted the fans at a Super Bowl. Nowadays, who knows what goes? Now you're throwing it at me in a language. I don't even know the language. And people can say, well, that's your fault. No, it's not. This is America.
Right. That's why
know
it's
the
so
primary language.
And that's why it's so that's what really rubs me the wrong way. Bringing everyone together is one thing. I get that's why you picked Bad Bunny, but by not putting English subtitles in, all you did was alienate the Americans who speak English, and then overseas everyone else enjoys it. Okay. But then I saw Piers Morgan post, hey, guess what, America? 50 million people speak Spanish in America, and it's their first language. And I'm like, hold on.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay, people
this
understanding.
Is an American country.
We don't care. Yes. I don't care. I can dump, I don't know, 10 million French into Great Britain. A lot of the great people in Great Britain know French because it's right nearby and blah, blah, blah. But if you happen not to know it, and the person stands and insults you in French during your major soccer event, and people don't understand the language, that's insulting to the people of that nation. Now, I don't speak Spanish. Some of the things that I saw translated were appalling, that they had that at a family football game. But you could get away with it because, it was in Spanish and nobody knew. No, it doesn't work that way. If that translation is correct, and I don't speak Spanish, I was appalled by that person being allowed to perform those songs at a family football event. I don't care what language.
Yeah, okay? But hold on, I'm going to take you the other way though. We've had some halftime shows in the past that were not much better. Right? Like, honestly, I would say some of the lyrics were even worse. Like, Kendrick Lamar mumbled through most of his Super Bowl halftime show last year.
And it was terrible. Yeah. I'm here to tell you that Super Bowl halftime was terrible.
But I feel like
this was better, you're kidding yourself.
Yeah, no. I would say that I don't really care that much. I kind of knew going in that it was going to be it wasn't going to be family music, you know?
That's wrong. It's a Super Bowl. It's a family-oriented. Kids watch.
I think,
the Super Bowl.
I would blame everyone in the past 4 years of Super Bowl who have done that. So I can't put that just on Bad Bunny. But I do think it's still weird, and this kind of goes back to what we said last week. Of all the people, I understand Bad Bunny's huge, bigger than anyone we know in America. But there's so many better options to do the Super Bowl. So Morgan Wallen is huge in country. I can't believe we didn't even think about him. But he was massive here and still is. He's still one of the biggest country singers. I don't know why he hasn't done it. He hits the age demographic. Right? He's my age, maybe a little younger.
Well, how about Lady Gaga? She was in it. Why didn't she do it?
She did it already.
I don't remember.
Yeah, she did it already.
She's done one already.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I look at that and I just think stop telling me, well, we have to get with the times. Nope, sorry. And I don't think the American Spanish-speaking individuals who enjoyed the Super Bowl, and I am generalizing here, they understand it's going to be in English. They're in this country. They want to be catered to. They love it when people cater to them. Who wouldn't? If I lived in Germany and I saw something in English, I'd be excited because I don't speak German. But this is America. And you know what? It's a bad message to say we're going to now draw more people to this game. To your point, you said it last time. Let's see how many come back next year.
Yeah, so that was my question. And this is where we'll really eat our words, which is if the NFL sees a viewership uptick because of this for some reason, that just explodes next season. I don't think that's going to happen because I literally said to my friends overseas, I said, do you plan on watching more football games next year? And they go, no, I just wanted to see the halftime show. It's okay, so then great, I'm glad you saw it, but how's that help the NFL? Now it seems like you just alienated Americans. So, yeah. That's
right. Are you going to double and triple down? Is Goodell going to bring another Spanish-speaking person on that, is maybe popular in other parts of the world, but not here in the U.S.?
Right.
Again, thumbing your nose. Guess what? You will not be the commissioner of the NFL that much longer if you keep doing that.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the sponsorships that pulled out, a lot of sponsors pulled out because of that, and they didn't want to deal with the backlash. I think it was like 30,000 or something like that, sponsors.
Oh, and
I didn't
hey,
even know there was
the
that
Super
many.
Bowl ads, terrible, in my opinion.
Yeah, there was only like
not
two that
one
were
of them
good.
was a standout. Everything was AI. And by the way, not to go off on an AI tangent, but did you notice the AI commercials? They were all about how you don't have to do work. Go home. Go put your feet up.
Yeah, we'll
Be
get to that
lazy.
later, but
This
yeah,
was the
it was
message.
very strange.
Spanish speaking and Americans don't want to do work because all white people sitting there in these offices. So the language is now Spanish, and people, you know, the only good commercial, in my opinion, again, was the one with the horse and the eagle
That
for
was a good one.
Budweiser.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay?
hold on. The Bud Light one though,
And
with
the
Shane
Bud
Gibbs,
Light one.
that was a good one. That was
Right.
guys. There's
Very
a
fun.
trail. That was a good one.
Very
But the rest,
Yes.
yeah, I don't think there were any real standout ones.
No standouts. Nothing that people walked away or talked about later on saying, oh, wow, that was, you know. And I haven't seen many of them on TV. Usually once they announce, you see them from time to time. Nope. Nothing great. There was maybe one car commercial. I was like, oh, okay, that was good. But I can't remember which car it was. So in my mind, that's not good advertising. So I don't know. I just I'm not going to bend over backwards and feed into this. Oh, I like to be impartial and blah blah blah. No, it's America. It's the Super Bowl. Okay.
Yeah.
It should be in English. There's got to be at least one or two American entertainers, even Puerto Rican, who have English speaking songs that can entertain the people in the audience.
I think Shakira did it once many years ago. Shakira did Super Bowl. I could be wrong on that, but again, all of her songs are in English, or most of her songs are in English.
Right.
So, or have
I don't want mix in one Spanish. How about this? Mix in one Spanish song, because usually they do a medley.
Yeah.
Okay, mix in one.
I don't think he has any English songs, so it's like, why would you?
He did have one with Cardi B.
Oh, okay. So
she's another piece of work that I don't know. Somebody said, "Oh, maybe they'll bring her in the stands because she dated one of the football players on the teams."
Oh,
but she's, you know.
Like yeah. Did you see that? He like, yeah. I don't know the whole story on that one, but she's like, I'm out.
Yeah, she was falling off a chair recently, and she was blaming like MAGA people. I don't know.
Yeah, she's a little crazy, but
it's a mess.
So let me just change gears a little bit with Super Bowl. So let's talk about the Turning Point USA one. So, which wasn't great either, but statistically, at one point they had 5 to 6 million people watching at once. It's not the 135 million. But 5 to 6 million people on a live stream is pretty massive when you have to think about the fact that means people turned their TVs off, went to a computer, and watched their version of the Super Bowl. So it goes to show that, I mean, that's pretty massive.
Well, Chris, they didn't watch the Super Bowl at all. Our friends who come every year, they didn't watch the Super Bowl at all.
Really?
They just watched Turning Point USA. Yeah.
Interesting. Now, apparently it wasn't that great, though, the Turning Point USA one. Kid Rock's a weird pick. I know that he's very MAGA, very Republican, but again, that's another one where Morgan Wallen would have cleaned house, right? Or Jelly Roll. I don't know. Kid Rock hasn't really had a song since like 2000.
Yeah, a long time.
So it's kind of another weird pick. I wouldn't say that Turning Point USA did much better. They just picked famous Republicans, essentially. So
I didn't watch it at all, and I haven't even seen any clips of it because I don't mind that they did it, but I just feel like that's not the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's just very all around. Like I still would choose the Bad Bunny one over Kid Rock. I can't name a single Kid Rock song except for the cover that he did on Sweet Home Alabama. That is it. So that's why I wonder, who are you catering to?
Well, it would be nice. I would rather a Kid Rock over Bad Bunny because he sings English-speaking songs that people could understand, even if he did other people's songs.
Okay, sure.
I think that's more entertaining, especially for the people in the audience. And please keep it family-oriented. It's the wrong venue to have and I'll say this too: when Janet Jackson's supposed costume problem and she exposed herself with whatever his name, Justin Timberlake. Yeah, I mean, totally inappropriate. To this day, it's, did they do it on purpose for ratings? Please, it's a family show. That's the one time the Super Bowl is less masculine.
Yeah, there's also a lot of the NFL doesn't allow certain things. Like, even though they brought in someone Spanish, there's certain things you can't do, and they really lock you down on that one. So
Well, apparently some of these lyrics were very inappropriate. If somebody spoke
lyrics and
Spanish,
doing something are kind of different. Like they really the Green Day guy, they really put a leash on him, right?
okay,
So because I guess I'll give credit where credit's due, right? Green Day, who's very outspoken against Trump, I expected them full-heartedly to say something about ICE or whatever. They didn't, which was good.
right.
And then the national anthem singer, I don't know her name, but terrible haircut.
Carlisle, something
Yeah,
Carlisle.
she's very outspoken against Trump, and luckily she didn't say anything. That would have been even worse right after you do the national anthem. So she really held her tongue.
But
But
isn't it sad? This is how much we've lowered the bar
yeah,
for the Super Bowl,
it's just
which
kind
used
of.
to be the most coveted performance. People were,
I'll give Green Day
trying to
slightly a
get that
pass.
job.
Let me give Green Day slightly a pass. Green Day, I mean, whether you like them or hate them, I'm not a Green Day fan at all. They've been around since the 80s, actually, like end of the 80s.
Where were they?
80s.
Where were they in the Super Bowl?
They were right at the beginning. They were actually the opener for Super Bowl.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
You probably missed it, but we started a little early. I should tell everyone about the spread that Aunt Susan had, but I'll save it for now.
Oh, God.
Green Day's been around for so long, legendary band. I'm surprised. I don't know. Let me look up. Has Green Day ever done Super Bowl?
I think if they had a better halftime show, it could have saved that game. And I think if they need to learn a lesson in the NFL, it's you better nail it with the Super Bowl. Stop worrying about bringing people from other countries to a one-time event. They're not going to watch it every weekend. They're not going to care about football. That's not their way. If you're just trying to bring people to it, you better learn because it could be a crappy game. You have no control over that. That's only as good as the players. You better have a halftime show that nails it for the American people, not the people of the world, for the American people.
The only people that Goodell actually should cater to is the Chinese, because they pay stupid amounts of money to the NFL, and he didn't even do that.
Yeah, no thanks. We don't even want that either. That's the opposite.
So let's go for the ones that aren't even paying anyone.
Right. And, I'll play devil's advocate. Maybe there were a lot of children in that audience, young kids that do speak Spanish, and they understood the words, and they were totally inappropriate for those kids who understood what he was singing. Who knows? Maybe they play it at home all the time. That's their business. But just for that type of event, an American event like that, I just think it was the wrong audience to highlight somebody speaking in a language where half the time I'm listening going, well, for all I know, he could be insulting me, ICE agents, my country, his country too, and with the flags and all that. And I have to sit here and I have to take it. I don't think so. So I will think twice next year if the NFL does this again. I think more people are going to shut it off.
Yeah. Now, again, I'm not really. So I was looking at all the stuff that Bad Bunny does. He does a lot for kids in sports. So I'm not going to say bad guy. I think that's the problem. I think people go, oh, I hate Bad Bunny, especially Americans. Like, oh, Bad Bunny's a bad person, bad lyrics, whatever. But he does do a lot of good for Puerto Rico and communities. So I'm not going to bash him, but I do wish that I think more so America, the NFL fumbled that, not, oh, did you see that fumble, NFL?
No,
did you see?
nice
Whoa,
fun.
I didn't even mean to. So they fumbled that. I think Bad Bunny just did his thing. I don't know how much creative directive he had in the sense of, hey, have subtitles or not. I think it's more on Goodell and the commission of the NFL fumbling American. It's very easy to throw subtitles up there. That's all I'm saying.
Well, and I'll say this too, if you want to move on after this, but there's several people who came out who have been connected to the NFL over the years, announcers, old players and whatnot, saying, just in general, the NFL is ruining football. They are feminizing football. And the crowning achievement is when you choose somebody who wears a dress, who has worn a dress. Okay, talk about a woke pick, blah, blah, blah. Is it bad? Whatever he does, he does. But this is a game that was a masculine game when I grew up. Yes, women do taking it. They're trying to make at least one game a year a family-oriented game. And they got to go and screw around with it. Why? Why you got to choose somebody? Maybe he's the nicest guy in the world. But I think he got a lot of pressure ahead of time that from enough people saying, you chose somebody who wore a dress. Why are you doing this? So I don't think there was any way. I mean, he'd have no career in America. Maybe he doesn't care. But if he really screwed this up and did something, anti-ice or whatever, I think he would have a hard time selling himself in this
Yeah, it
country.
would have been tough.
That's for
But the problem is he's so big that he doesn't really care if he's popular in our country or not. Like, of course, I'm sure he would love to be, but I did not realize how massive he is.
You don't do the Super Bowl unless you want to bring yourself to an audience. You don't do it.
Mama, I think you're severely.
The Super Bowl,
you have to understand. You have to understand how big he is. Like, he blows LeBron James out of the water. Like he does not care about the American. It's nice to do Super Bowl. He wanted the history, but I've come to realize after doing some research last night, like, the big musicians here are nobodies compared to guys like BTS, Bad Bunny. I love my country, but when it comes to music, we are incredibly insignificant.
And that's fine. That's fine. I've never heard of him.
Right.
And the first thing I heard of him was, oh, he's doing the Super Bowl, and oh, he wore a dress once.
He makes Michael.
That's what they presented to somebody like me, and I'm not. I get it. I'm not a young person, but the Super Bowl represents America. Sure. It's an American institution. It's as old as I am, the 60th football game. Okay. And not just about the performers, but they have changed the sport over the decades to the point where now they're taking it too far. I predict that there will be a backlash. You will not see, I don't care how big they are on the world stage, you will not see somebody again perform in another language the whole time. If you do, people will just turn it off. People who love football will watch it just for the game. And half the people watching it probably were like, who's this guy? And they walked away, went to the bathroom, or got something to eat. They kept the TV on, but they probably didn't care. One of those things where they tried the negative hype too to get people to watch it. Normally, I don't usually watch the halftime show anyhow, no matter who it is, because I'm too busy cooking or whatever when we have people over. This time I watched and I'm like, all right, well, that was a big dud. That was a big nothing to me. Anyhow.
Bad Bunny. So just for reference, like, think of how popular Michael Jackson was and how many numbers he threw in. Bad Bunny blows him out of the water. So that's what I mean. Like, bigger than Michael Jackson numbers wise. That's what I mean in the sense of we do not understand how massive these people are in other countries.
It's a different world than the time of Michael Jackson. You didn't have Spotify.
But you're still talking.
iTunes. You didn't have the level of it's like trying to compare NBA players.
I don't think that's true.
To the ones from 30 years ago.
We're still talking numbers in the sense. I'm not talking about viewership. I'm talking about
discounting the popularity of this person. I'm not discounting it. I get it. He's popular all over the world. So is soccer.
Sure.
That's a primary sport. Football is not. And that's great for all over the world.
Sure.
I just don't think, to your point, oh, we're so small. Okay, take an American performer and put them on the soccer stage. Have them speak English in, I don't know, Barcelona.
I don't think they would do well.
Asinine.
Yeah.
Why is it okay to do it here?
Sure. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I think they would do better. Well, I guess we can even take it we have to move on pretty soon, but I think we can even take it back a little bit and say, has the Super Bowl halftime show ever really brought more numbers in any country? You know what I mean? Like, whether they have Justin Bieber, Morgan Wallen, whoever, I don't know if
because they can't get soccer here in this country.
Yeah,
they've tried everything. We're not as into it.
I think we have World Cup here, right? I think the World Cup's going to be here this year. I'm curious to see how that goes.
It is. It's going to be in New York, New Jersey, but still, bring the World Cup. I have not seen a tremendous explosion of soccer becoming far more popular than football.
But then I guess, let me make a counter argument then. How do I put this? If the halftime show has never really brought people into the sport, which I don't know why it would, now that I think about it.
No, it doesn't.
Do I really care who does the Super Bowl halftime show? I'm doing a full 180 here because now that I think about it, I'm like, what the hell's the point? But again, I would like to see English.
The Super Bowl is a unique event.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be, when we were younger, it was still just football. Guys on the weekends watching the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe families would watch it because it was a big event. They've turned it into, in a good way, a national pastime. You don't have to like football to watch it.
Right.
I can care less about those two teams. It's an American institution, right? That's what it's become. It's unique from a regular football season. It's unique from a Sunday game. People who watch football don't watch this as I watch it every weekend.
Right.
But you watch the Super Bowl because of the commercials, because of the performances, the people involved, and because it's the best of the best, the two best teams in the league of football. That's why.
All right, I'm gonna switch it up because we just did almost 40 minutes on that. So let's talk about Canada real fast. So Canada had that massive mass shooting this week. Remember the country that never has mass shootings, apparently. So I don't know if you saw this, but high schooler or middle schooler. Hold on, I gotta recheck this one. But the only thing that came to mind when I saw this was the Pierce Morgan Nick Fuentes debate, where Pierce Morgan's like, how many trans shooters versus white kids or whatever it is, goes back to how many this kind of proves Nick Fuentes' point in a sense. It's always some trans kid, unfortunately. So kills 9 students, injures 27, kills his mother and stepbrother, 11 years old. Real piece of shit. Now, this shit happens in the sense of it's very unfortunate, whatever. Here's what bothers me the most, and this is just how messed up Canada is. The gun person. Did you see this? Are you watching this at all? Right? They still want to protect this piece of shit's pronouns, right? So he ended up committing suicide, shot himself in the face after he killed all those people. But they're talking about the guy, one of the guys, I don't know who he was. He goes, the gunman, and someone on the side goes, no, we say gun person because of the transitioning and stuff. The fact that you're giving this guy any respect after what he did or it did, I don't even know what the fuck to call it. The fact that you're giving them respect after that just kind of, it goes to show how messed up Canada is. So,
Chris, that's not just Canada. That's the problem across the board with the liberal media. That's what we've been bitching about here since the Tennessee shooter. That's been going on for I don't know how long.
I've never heard gun person in my life. And then when they threw that out there, I was like, whoa. And then a police officer, I think he's the chief officer of that area. He's like, how do you put it? He's like, we want to respect the person's pronouns. Goes through the whole timeline of their transition. I was like, why are you giving this guy attention? How about you talk about the 9 kids that were killed by this guy? I think it was actually 8 and then 9 being himself that he shot himself. So, yeah, I don't know. That that really left me.
I'm just looking up because was there 2 transgender shooters this past week?
I don't know. I haven't really.
Was it one here in the U.S.? I think there was, is there a picture of the shooter in this article? I can't see the whole article. No.
I know it's in here, but
I think there was another shooter, also transgender, but yes, the whole way it was covered, and they got. Was there another one?
Okay, it's tough to. I didn't realize how many mass shootings we have, but it kind of depends on how you word mass shooting, because mass shooting is technically just two or more people getting shot.
Well, it would have been this week, and it would have been another transgender.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was in America.
Here's the problem. We had one on the 10th, the 12th, and the 15th. That's all this week. We had one in Florida, Louisiana, and Missouri. One had 6 people killed, so that one was Sarasota, Florida.
I thought one was in a school also.
Could be. I don't. Oof.
Well, the one I saw, and I did hear about this Canadian one. I guess in my mind I thought it was the same individual, but yes, the media is bending over backwards to protect this whole transgender,
which is crazy,
because they don't want people to make the connection. Guess what? You have to make the connection. If you truly want to end these things, people need to start understanding what is going on with transgender. What's the common theme? They're all on hormone drugs. Yeah. They all have some sort of underlying, if you don't want to call trans the problem, they have some underlying emotional disturbance.
Yep. So,
and along the same lines of this, what's also bringing it to the forefront is a lot of the detransitioners are now suing.
Yes, I saw that.
What's been done to them. And you can't deny this anymore. I don't care how much the media wants to try and spin out of this, like, oh, it could have been anybody. It's a gun person, could have been
Right.
anybody. No, you have to look at these people. You have to understand why they do it.
So here's the other thing that's very strange, and I sort of understand it in a sense, is when they talk about these people, they go, well, first of all, he was bullied. It's like, okay, that sucks. Don't get me wrong. He was depressed. He had anxiety issues. He's on all these medications. It's like, and then they go, but again, he was bullied. It's like, okay, yeah, bullying sucks. But let's talk about the other three things. He was on antidepressants. He was on hormone replacement therapies. You're basically adding fuel to a fire. Bullying sucks, don't get me wrong, but I know a lot of people that were bullied that don't commit mass shootings. So let's figure this out here, and let's start looking at the other three things and not, oh, he was bullied. That's the same argument every time.
I was bullied in school. Maybe not to the extreme he was. You were bullied in school. We've all been bullied. What triggers somebody to go into a spiral like that where they want to change their gender or depression or anything else? I'm just going to move to the side a little bit. There have been articles in the past about mothers who have recently given birth, had children, right? And you read these horrific stories about how these perfectly, what you would think normal people, husband comes home, the wife drowned all three children in the tub, and they wound up either killing themselves. There's two individuals that stand out with these horrific things in the United States. You read these things, you're like, what is wrong? How can somebody snap like that? Well, fast forward, you start looking at the drugs that these women were put on for their postpartum depression. One woman was on 9 antipsychotic medications at the same time. Yeah. Some of them cause hallucinations, all sorts of problems. Nobody was monitoring these individuals. If people don't start, and I think the narrative is going to start to change. Forget about, what their gender is. That's not the important thing. What are these people on? That's what we have to start looking at. And it's a tough battle because the psychiatric community, they're going to dig their heels in. They don't want to be accountable. You are just as guilty for putting those drugs in that kid or that individual as that person is for picking up that gun.
I saw one recently, kind of along the lines of what you're talking about. There was a guy that went somewhat viral on Twitter yesterday or 2 days ago who transitioned, and it's one of those transitions where they didn't really put any work in, still looks like a dude but goes by something else, was married, stabbed his wife like 9 times, stabbed his son a couple times, got off, they survived, right? They somehow managed to survive, and then he just got out on like a plea, like insanity deal, basically. So he didn't do any jail time, he just had to do time in like a psych ward, and then now he's out and about. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. But all right, Mom, I'm going to keep kind of switching this up because we got like 12 more articles to do. I grabbed a lot. Yeah, we might. But I think the big one that I want to talk about right now is the passing of the SAVE Act. That happened this week as well, which was pretty massive. I know it has to go through Senate next, but the fact that it got passed is crazy. So the final vote, I believe, was 218 to 217. And one Democrat decided not to vote, and that's what kind of saved us. This is a big deal. But then I ask you this. We've kind of had a pseudo-SAVE Act over the last 50 years, right? Where, hey, illegals aren't supposed to be voting, and then voter ID. And voter ID's really just changed in the past 20 years, I would say. How's this really going to change anything, right? They're just going to do the same thing.
Because you have to prove that you're a citizen when you register to vote.
Right. Okay, good.
Okay? And you have to show a state ID or some sort of ID when you go to cast your vote. So it puts more hurdles in the way of somebody who is illegal from voting.
But has that ever really stopped them in the past? Like, I feel like now they're just going to get fake IDs.
We've never had it in the past, Chris.
Right, but what I'm saying is you don't think I know college kids that get fake IDs that work. I would not be surprised if illegals are going to get fake IDs that work as well.
That is the next thing. Right. But now they can just go get a license and they're automatically registered to vote.
Right.
Nobody's checking if they were born here.
Right. Also, let's look at Minnesota, right, who... Right, they just passed that you don't have to be a citizen to have a license, and they're just giving these licenses out to people like crazy, right?
Right, and then they go and they register them to vote. Well, technically, when you register to vote, you have to provide a passport. You remember the checklist in New Jersey. You need a passport. You need a birth certificate, marriage certificate. The joke of it is, and I just caution people when they read this, how is a woman supposed to be able to provide a birth certificate? Their married name's not on there. No shit. Nobody has their married name on their birth certificate. They've never had that. You don't change your birth certificate. You take your marriage certificate. We've been able to do it for hundreds of years now. You take a marriage certificate and you show your new name. So that's like a false flag also that they're screaming about. Women don't have their married name, so people panic. My birth certificate, you're never going to have your name. You're never going to have that on your birth certificate. It's not going to happen. So it's more of another check of making a case that, and this is only on federal elections. States can still do whatever they want.
My favorite part about this is watching the Democrats try and spin the narrative to figure out how they can make this sound bad. I don't know if you saw Obama's tweet, but Obama's like, Republicans are trying to do the SAVE Act. We have to vote against this because it's it's more steps for, just reading it. It sounded so stupid. I couldn't even wrap my head around it.
This is an existential threat to the Democratic Party.
100%.
They will never,
less people are going to go out and vote.
Be in power again. If this actually starts to, and you're never going to get rid of, voter fraud 100%. Never going to happen.
That really brings it down.
But this will be a huge dent to them. Add to that, as more and more illegals are leaving and self-deporting, right?
Yes.
You're going to see districts change.
Yeah.
With we talk about gerrymandering. You're going to see them start to lose representatives because you don't have that many people, quote unquote, bodies in these cities anymore. So they'll call you any name. They'll bring up any desperate thing. Oh, they're going to put you back. Remember Biden? They're going to make you slaves again and put chains on you.
Yeah, which is
crazy.
And
meanwhile,
to say.
Fortunately, more and more minorities are saying, "What are you talking about? I have an ID."
Right.
What are you talking about? I can't get an ID. It's nonsense for them to be saying that. And I find it, the more of them are drawing the irony of, okay, so you need an ID to get into a Democrat's event so he could talk about how you don't need ID to vote. Is that the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard of?
It doesn't make sense. That's why my head can't really wrap I'm trying to look at it from Obama's point of view. I'm like, how does what you just said make any sense? You're trying to make it easier for fraud. That's the only argument that Democrats have. Hey, we're trying to bring down, we want it to be easier to commit voter fraud. I think anyone, whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, you would go, we want our elections to be as safe as possible and fraud-free. And the Democrats are like, hey, I know you're trying to add a layer here of protection from fraud, but we don't want to do it. It's like, what?
And at the same time, they've just exposed tremendous irregularities in the Georgia election of 2020. Mm-hmm. Tremendous ones. They're about to expose it in Arizona. You're seeing things in Minnesota. Every state, I'm sure, has a certain degree. But it wound up costing people an election. And I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. You can't have fraud in an election.
Right. You know what we need to do? Are you watching my stream right now? Can you see your
screen? Yes.
Yeah, right? You can see it? This is what we need to start having in Congress. Did you see what happened in Turkey?
Oh, no. They're fighting.
Look at this. This made my day. Look at this brawl. This is what we need. This guy, look at the haymakers that these guys are throwing. So basically what ended up happening in Turkey is they swore in a judge who is very biased for the government. So he's been known to let a lot of politicians get off scot-free. And basically they rushed him. And I mean, we're talking haymakers everywhere. And it's all 50-year-olds, which is my favorite part.
All men, too. Try and find a woman. Yeah. Welcome to a Muslim country, right?
Yeah.
I got to take Bo upstairs. He's barking.
All right. So as I was saying, I mean, they're just brawling it out. But basically, this judge ended up being sworn in anyway, and they had security all over him. So Turkey's in dire straits right now, but I thought that was funny. I had to throw that one in there. Let's talk about... let me switch it up to... Where's the Trump stuff? Yeah, let me throw this up here. So ex-police, this was kind of a big deal because people have been, this is where as some podcasts are saying, Trump and Elon were playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers, right? The whole thing was fake to get Trump to, like, Elon's like, release the files, and the Democrats sided with him because they were like, he knows something. And then it turns out Trump kind of wanted this in the sense of now it's out that back in 2006, Trump warned the police department about Epstein. And what the best part is, all the news companies had to talk about this. They couldn't hide it. So even CNN was like, yeah, he warned everyone, and now they can't do anything. But as you can see, that news article died real quick. But there's actually him talking to the police department saying, hey, this guy's a bad dude and needs to be in prison, him and Ghislaine. So now I don't know if it really saves Trump in this. I know his name's put in a lot, but this is like the first thing that everyone has to see on the front page. Trump said, yo, you know.
Yeah, I don't think it got very much attention at all. I mean, Chris, I can't figure it out anymore from a media level.
Yeah,
that's a huge thing, right? And still they're digging and trying to find Trump.
Right.
And while they're digging, they come up with all this hellacious stories. I mean, the main attorney for President Obama, she had to resign from Goldman Sachs because of how inappropriate her relationship was with Epstein.
Yeah. Well,
Anybody say anything about President Obama?
This is where this is where the media really this is where media messes up. They're like, Trump's name is mentioned 1,000 times in the Epstein files. And then every single one so far has been him like meeting Epstein, not on the island, in Mar-a-Lago, which we all knew beforehand because Epstein wanted to get in. And then all the times, like now we're finding out Trump was trying to get Epstein thrown into prison because he knew he was a bad guy. So it's 1,000 mentions of Trump in the files saying that basically he was the good guy.
Who knows? Who knows if it's 1,000 times? I don't believe anything the media tells you anymore.
I'm just saying in general.
Depending which media is telling you this. I mean, Ann Coulter did a great job in one of her articles ripping apart the whole Epstein thing and how everybody paints these out to be, oh, they weren't that wrong. And, it's worth, even if you don't like her, I mean, it's worth reading her take on how ridiculous this has become when the main bad people, they're still getting away with it. Anybody being prosecuted? How about just give me one person who took advantage of these young people? And at the end of the day, the whole story is just about Trump. You know, the minute Trump's out of office, trust me, you'll never hear Epstein again. Again. We'll never hear what happens with any of these people, and they'll go on and live their lives.
Right. So the other thing that they did this week with the redacted files is they're allowing people in Congress specifically to see a lot of these emails unredacted. So it's redacted to the people, but for people in Congress, they can see it, which is a little weird, but I kind of get it. There's a lot coming out about like the Saudi Arabian, there's a guy over there, I don't know his name, but I don't think he's
Suleiman.
Not the crown prince or excuse me, whatever you want to call him, but other guys over there that are huge, probably trillionaires, honestly, who, I mean, he had a shipping company, right, which is not a good look when you're talking about sex trafficking, right? So this guy, I think we're going to see a lot more about him, but then you have Keir Strauss, who clearly was very close with Epstein. That's a little weird. Like, this is kind of what was alluded when we first started hearing about the Epstein files. We're going to see governments unravel with how much bad shit's in there. And they've been trying to kind of protect that, which is why they're not throwing everything out. They keep saying that these next 3 million files are really going to do some damage to some people's images.
My understanding is it's all out there. Nancy Mace is suing, or she's giving Pam Bondi
this is just the half of it, apparently.
The stuff that's there, blah, blah, blah. You know what? At the end of the day, everyone's losing sight of the big picture. It's not about the government's falling and all this other bullshit, okay? This guy did what he did with these young girls. How was that allowed to happen by so many people for so long, with the girls being groomed to do this and creating an organization? I'm even not as concerned about that as I am about things like these things. We talked about it last time, the Pizzagate stuff. The network of what's going on these other channels and things alluded to by these friggin' adults who are, some of them are, political people, whatnot, alluding to disgusting things with young children. That's what I feel we need to get to the bottom of. These are not kids that are celebrities. They didn't write a book. They don't know Donald Trump. They probably don't know who half these people are. But as human beings, our own president, they lost track of hundreds of thousands of kids who came over the border, right? These kids are lost. And every now and then you hear, oh, guess what? ICE found 3,300 kids in Minnesota. Nobody cares. Gets very little attention. 3,300 children that people lost track of.
Right.
And now I got to hear about Pizzagate, which years ago you hoped that it was something. It was a conspiracy theory. And now with this whole Epstein stuff, it's bringing up the fact that, well, maybe it's not that crazy. That's the kind of stuff that I think people need to be more concerned with, and not how many times Donald Trump's named mentioned.
Right.
If Donald Trump's mentioned 1,000
and
times,
actually doing something is very different. There's a lot of people mentioned that had nothing really to do with Epstein, but was mentioned in an email that Epstein sent.
Right.
Right. So met Chris Catucci today. Nice guy. Right. That would be in the files. It's like, okay, well, it doesn't really work that way. Now, I do have to bring up the elephant in the room, and I'm going to have to hit you with a blind side here, Mother. I didn't want to have to do it. We got to talk about Steve Bannon. Now, I know you're a staunch defender of Steve Bannon.
No. I agree with him with a lot of things. I don't agree with him in everything.
Okay.
I do listen to the War Room. That is true.
This is pretty damning evidence on a lot of the stuff that he had involvement with Epstein, right? There's a lot of evidence showing that he tried to clear his name. He did that interview, which I have to say, I watched the interview that Bannon did with Epstein. Obviously everyone hates Epstein, not defending him. Very smart guy. Like, he knew some shit about real estate, now I'm like, oh, okay, now I see how this guy was so good at laundering money for people. He's brilliant. And that you don't get to that level without some level of brilliance. But basically, Steve Bannon tried clearing his name. It seems like Bannon knew what was going on. I forget the name of the producer that was doing the documentary that allowed Bannon to get this interview with him. But it seems like Bannon and Epstein were a lot closer than Bannon leads on, right? And there's a lot of pictures of them together. There's no way Bannon didn't know what was going on at that island at this point. So, I don't know. Are we still watching the War Room? What's the thought? Has he defended himself at all on this yet, or no?
I don't know that he's brought it up at all in the War Room.
It's going to come
up. I don't know that. I haven't been watching it as much as I used to. First of all, I would not trust two words out of Vanity Fair, but I do know from other sources.
I just grabbed this from Vanity Fair, but this picture is from the files directly. Right. There's a lot of pictures of him and Bannon.
I know he interviewed him. He did a documentary on him. Bannon used to be in he was in Hollywood. He was a producer of movies. He was involved in stuff like that. I think he got involved in documentary things. I don't know what the angle was, and I have not read or seen the documentary of what was going on with this guy. I mean, we've admitted this before. He was a guy at Bear Stearns. If you look at what Mike Bentz has produced regarding Epstein and his connections and how he got to the place that he was, it didn't make sense. How does he know all these political people? What was the connection? And he kind of walks you through, okay, now you know it. He's the guy to know. He was the guy to know. And aside from the whole pedophilia stuff.
He was no question about it. He was very powerful. We'll probably never know the answer to where he's from. A lot of people say Israel. A lot of people say American politicians made him.
I don't care where he's from.
Doesn't matter.
When I heard,
I mean where his money comes.
Now I understand.
I mean where he gets his money from.
They did a lot of government contracts. They were involved with a lot of government work, and Epstein took advantage of the basis. He took advantage of these very wealthy, mostly men, but some women, and we know it doesn't matter how smart you are. They still have pretty basic. Can't think of the word. Is it banal instincts, and he capitalized on those with his Lolita Island. Took advantage of a lot of these individuals, like the Bill Gates of the world,
I don't
the
think the
nerds of the
island.
world.
I don't think the Lolita is the plane. I don't think it's the island.
The plane to the island. Okay, the Lolita Express. Okay, and Bannon, I can see wanting to know what this is all about and getting his toe in it and becoming friendly with the guy. He knew everybody. As I said, when you see these things, I'm surprised more people I know's name's not in this guy's list. You know, I mean, I feel like everybody in the world was somehow connected to Epstein at some point and at some level.
The only way that I, again, siding with Bannon for a second, he was in politics, producer, all this stuff. The only way that this kind of saves himself is if he was trying to really figure, to your point, go in almost like a spy and really figure out what was going on, which is probably going to be what he says. Mm-hmm. But it's still not a good look when there are like, we would need the FBI to tell us that Steve was doing some kind of inside job to try and expose all this. But if it's just Steve Bannon's word, it's going to be tough to back out of this one. I don't see a world where Steve kind of comes out of this unscathed. It's a little too damning.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the extent of it. I really don't. I mean, I'll do some research.
Yeah,
I'll see
it's
what has been produced and what has been said.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but again, we're back to pages of what? Was he in his diary every day because they had meetings every day while they were doing this? I mean, was he on this island? My gut feeling is, and I'm not defending anybody, but Bannon, just like same thing with Trump, doesn't strike me as the type of person who goes to that island. He's just got too many other things to do. But I'm sure he knows people who went there.
Yeah.
Or knew of them who went there.
Yeah, but also Elon doesn't strike me as a guy who went to that island at all, and I believe he hasn't. But there's emails that Elon has sent to Epstein like, hey, I'm looking to go to the parties that I hear about. So, again, Elon's a guy that's so busy he can't even... I mean, we know someone that talks to Elon regularly, and like he's impossible to talk to. He's too busy. So it's like... the people that you don't expect end up wanting to go to that island. So that's why I'm a little confused.
Well, let me draw a comparison. There used to be a club in New York City called Studio 54. It was back in the 80s, okay? It was the place to be. Every celebrity, every politician, everybody went to Studio 54. You know, it was drug mecca. Everybody did drugs, cocaine in the 80s. It was like having a drink. You did cocaine. Okay. It was not a good place to be, right? I mean, there was nothing good about it. It was dancing, it was drugs, it was prostitution. But if you wanted your name out there, you went to Studio 54. Doesn't mean you did those things. Right. But you went to that club, you got your face in the paper. I'm going to equate somebody like Epstein to Studio 54. If you were anybody in the 90s, in the early 2000s, whether you knew about what would happen on his island or not, you met Epstein.
Right.
That's just a fact. He was in all those circles. And if you knew Donald Trump, or if you knew the President Clinton, or you were in any of those political circles, at some point you would have crossed paths with this guy. Okay? That doesn't mean you went to an island and you abused a young girl. It just means you were in his orbit.
Like, I think people, here's the other thing that we have to be realistic about too, and I feel like people aren't. Epstein had a lot of parties. A lot. Not every party probably involved underage women. Maybe some of the parties, when they knew someone that they had to get information on, or like get dirt on, then you could bring them. But they also had parties where it was all guys. It was all guys over 50. Like, he had parties that were themed, right? That's what we're finding out as well. So, it's all 50s and up, and so you can't just assume every party was one to... How do I put this?
I mean, Epstein groomed a lot of these men too, to bring him into this world, to get them into compromising positions. Who knows? Maybe he thought he was, quote unquote, doing them a favor.
Right.
I don't know.
How many of them figured it out and said, no, I don't want to do that? Like, that's the other part that we'll never really understand. And that's why when the files initially came out, they had to figure out which people went to the parties to do bad things and good things, right? Like, just have a party.
Also tell you this, I don't know what to believe anymore either.
That's true.
In the sense that I just saw an article recently where they said, well, there was no proof of any videos. Nobody found any tape. Nobody had any videos. Blah 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 blah.
And this is what. Go ahead.
I remember when they first stormed his condo, and they took out tons of videos out of that mansion.
That's what I was
and
gonna say.
nobody ever saw those videos again. Now that was back in, I don't know who was the president at the time when they stormed it. Was it maybe Bush, maybe Obama? But my point is, now the story's changing.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it was, and it was somewhat reputable. There were no videos found. Hold on here. I'm old enough to know there were videos. There were tons of them.
I truly believe that the reason that this is being handled so poorly to the public eye is because I do believe that if all of it got out there, you would see entire governments in other countries and our country unravel. I believe that full-heartedly. The problem is, if you're the T.K.S.P Patel or whoever's looking at all these files, do you want that kind of...
Right? I think that's the bullshit that they've been shoveling. And for somebody in my seat, when just a couple weeks ago, they had evidence that President Obama orchestrated the Russia hoax.
Which is why Tulsi Gabbard is getting a lot of shit right now.
A sitting president, and it barely got any attention.
Right.
You really think people are going to care that some... Look at Prince Andrew, a guy, they're all leaving their jobs. Great. Nobody's gone to jail.
Right.
So I disagree. I think we're reaching the point, Chris, where eventually it'll all come out and no one's going to care. And all these individuals know it. They're just buying time.
I don't think
they're buying time.
Let me rephrase that then. I don't think it's the politicians that are going to take the backlash. It's going to be the people that unfortunately support financially a lot of these countries that are going to lose a lot of things, and because of that you're going to watch a lot of countries fall. I couldn't care less about Prince Andrew, right? Let's be honest, the monarchy over there doesn't really do much. They're a figurehead. I think it's a bigger deal that Keir, what's his name again? Keir
Starmer, but it's the prime minister, the
prime minister. Yeah, that's a bigger deal than Prince Andrew, in my opinion. Prince Andrew doesn't do much. The other guy's a politician. Like, that's where one's image, one's the downfall.
And guess what? England didn't fall apart. He was Lord Mendelsohn. He was a high-ranking person. This is what I'm saying. This is the narrative they're spinning. Oh, we can't release this information because the whole world's going to crumble. Baloney. I'm beyond that. No, the whole world's not going to crumble. I'm
going to disagree with that one.
Well, we'll see. But I'm seeing bombshells every day that you and I aren't even talking about on the podcast because you haven't picked it up. And if you're not picking up at your age, do you think 10 years from now, because they'll still be talking about Epstein?
Absolutely.
Well, if the Democrats come back into power, you're never going to hear about him again. You're going to hear about him again. He'll just fall off the radar. And somebody will write a book in 20 years. Hey, remember the Epstein affair? I'll be dead, but you'll be like, oh, I remember that. Whatever happened to that? Exactly what happened years ago. And no, I'm not buying it that the world's going to crumble. I will say this, and I said it before. If there's a network that they have if there's a network that they've alluded to with this Pizzagate stuff, and I'm saying that as not as a joke, but meaning there could be something far more nefarious than a bunch of old men with some poor girls who were groomed that this guy knew about or was involved in or was aware of and never brought it to anybody's attention. That still exists.
Who's this guy, Mom? Who's this guy?
It's Epstein.
Oh, okay.
Epstein. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that is more earth-shattering to me, because that's a global thing, what they're alluding to. This is not just like a bunch of guys on an island. This is something very nefarious, very deep.
Well, I assume that they're all connected because now we have, like, they're using the same terms and logos or lingos that they used in these Epstein files that they used in Pizzagate, allegedly. So now it is all connected. Now it's a matter of figuring out who knew what, blah, blah, blah. How deep does it go?
And that's not necessarily major people. The ones that were involved here were like the chief of staff for Hillary Clinton and a couple of the people that were part of her staff. All right, they're all gone now, right? They're still, I don't know if they're still exchanging emails about this stuff, but that's when it first came out. Why is, what was his name? I can't think of his name. Podesta. Why is he talking about pizza so much and grape soda?
Hot dogs. What?
The woman.
Yeah.
Right. These are individuals here in the U.S. that are lower level. They're gone, prosecute and put them in jail. The U.S. isn't going to crumble over it. That's my point. They're trying to make it like, oh, we can't expose it. We can't let everybody know anything. Baloney. Okay. I've got things blowing up in my own country but other issues that I think are far more important than some guy that went to an island 10 years ago, and nobody cares.
Right. Let's switch it up a little bit. I'm gonna cut out a couple articles, Mom, but the one that I really want to talk about, Nancy Guthrie. This was one of those ones we did not talk about, but now it's getting so big we kind of can't really ignore it at this point. So, one second, let me just fix the Java. So, for those of you that do not know, Nancy Guthrie, what is she, a political commentator or some news anchor? A conservative news anchor?
No, the mother. Nancy Guthrie.
I'm sorry, the daughter.
Samantha Guthrie's mother.
Right. So the mother gets kidnapped, and we won't go through the whole story because, I mean, I guess we can just because we didn't talk about it, but basically I did not realize how successful Samantha is, right? She has an $8 million a year deal with whatever news company. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, CBS or ABC. I'm not sure.
But her mother gets kidnapped and has now been missing for over a week now, right? I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at first I was like, oh, this isn't really news. I mean, it's a big deal because it's a celebrity's mom. But now we're really talking like a legitimate kidnapping. Like I thought this was going to be solved really quickly. They think the son-in-law has something to do with it. But they're asking for money in crypto because it can't be tracked. And the other thing is this lady's on heart medication. And unfortunately by now, if they haven't been giving her that medication, she's probably dead. So first off, we believe that it's an inside job. I don't know if you've seen any of the videos and stuff that have come out, but the guy's not a professional. Comes in, he knows where the cameras are already on the inside of the house too. So it must be someone who knows the inside of the house. Very unprofessional. Which I was like, how do you know what what's a professional robber? Someone that's done it a bunch of times and got away with it. But that's besides the point. But it's kind of depressing that this elderly lady gets kidnapped.
Yeah.
But also, well, not but what's also weird, or the scary thing is what happens if we find out this is like an illegal immigrant that did this? Then you're going to have one hell of a divide in this country. Right. So I really hope that we find out soon, because it is kind of sad, but there's a part of me that doesn't really want to find out. I kind of want her to be okay, go back to the family, we never speak of it again. But
I saw a headline, I forget who had it, that said, the updates on the Nancy Guthrie case of literally nothing that's happened since it first. There's literally nothing new. They've arrested one guy, they released the person. They had somebody on a video camera. They went to somebody's house who said, no, it wasn't me. And then they didn't prosecute that person. Oh, good. He fed him. It's a botched thing. They didn't handle it well in Pima County. The sheriff was wrong. And, Guthrie may not go back to ever being in TV again, blah, blah, blah. Don't know. I mean, I can't answer it. It is sad. It's sad also too because people go missing all the time. I think we talked about this last podcast. There's a young man here who's autistic in New Jersey.
No, yeah. We didn't talk about it on the podcast because we didn't bring this up yet. But
okay.
I don't remember.
People were, and not that it annoys me, but and now the president weighs in. I want the FBI to give it full attention. Well, there's a lot of families in this country.
That's what I was going to say
right now.
Yeah.
And they don't have the resources that Samantha Guthrie and her family has. But not to take away from this woman, I want her to be found. But you're right. It's a bit suspicious that out of the blue, she's been living there for how long? Her daughter's been a celebrity for a long time.
And now all of a
somebody
sudden,
out of the blue decides to kidnap her and ask for, I heard crypto, no crypto. And what's the deal with TMZ? Why is TMZ like that Harvey, what's his name? He's getting all this information. Why are these kidnappers sending stuff to TMZ? I want to say I lost.
He's another guy that spent a lot of time with Epstein, the head of TMZ.
Oh, really?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I'm just I want to see her found. Obviously, the longer you wait, the more you have to be concerned.
It's very depressing
anymore.
Yeah.
Yes, and you kind of hope it is an inside job. Not that it's good for the family, but odds are they're giving her medication and they're keeping her alive. But that doesn't help for the Thanksgiving dinner if it turns out to be somebody within the family.
Well, that's what that's what I said to Aunt Susan when we talked about it. I was like, imagine being in the daughter's shoes, Samantha and the other daughter, where it's like, now you can't trust, like, it's an inside job. All your friends could have been in on it, right? Now you trust no one. I was like, shit, that would really suck. Right?
Well, I mean, inside job, it could have been a landscaper.
Sure.
Right? Who happened to have a friend visiting who said, yeah, I do Samantha Guthrie's house. And that friend decides, oh, there's money in that house. I could kidnap that person. If that's considered inside job, sure. But
you'd have to know you have to know where the cameras are, how to turn them off. Like, you have to know the ones in the house too, not just the one outside. You have to know the ones in the house. So it's definitely an inside job. It's just, who is it? And that's why you can't, like, I wouldn't trust anyone until you figure it out. But
right.
What was I saying? And
it was a very small reward at the beginning, and then they finally upped it to a decent amount, like to $100,000.
And then like what? Here's the problem with that, and this is how you know there's just so many shitty people out there. There's people like, 1,000 of you people know what happened. Like, you have information. Come on, right. You're just taking advantage of a kidnapping, which is disgusting.
Right. Right.
But I think. Go ahead. What I was just gonna say. Like, the unfortunate part of this, and you kind of touched on it, is if she wasn't a famous celebrity, we probably wouldn't even be hearing about this. And that's kind of the depressing part as well. Because, as you said, so many people go missing. How many kids go missing every year? It's like, what is it, 100,000 or something like that?
Yeah, it's a crushing amount. Usually they get abducted by somebody they know, which is, it's a good thing, but it's something, not random.
I saw a statistic a long time ago. I don't know how accurate it is anymore, but the amount of people that say my son's been kidnapped or daughter's been kidnapped, it ends up being like a step parent that like took the kid to get him. So it's like the crazy mom who shouldn't even have custody anyway, calling in, my son's been kidnapped. It's like an overwhelming percentage. Right. So yeah, it's stuff like that. Usually. Where
not always, but usually,
yeah, and you kind of pray for that because that's best case scenario. But
well, it's easier to track them down if it's somebody that they could have some sort of contact.
Or it's like a misunderstanding. Oh, I forgot my ex-husband took the kid before, and he probably should have said something. Let me do missing, but that I might be lying to myself there just to give me some hope. But yeah. Okay, let me switch it up, Mom, just because I might cut your.
You can cut my Apple News one. We kind of touched on that with TikTok.
Yeah, the cannabis one. But it does
really. And you can cut the Cruise Pitt AI one.
I actually want to talk about that one because that is a big one. Where is it though? I guess I didn't save it. Gold Rush, oh no, very viral video fight. I'm sure everyone's seen this this was viral on Twitter. This was crazy to see. Did you actually watch the video?
I saw some of it. I couldn't. I was running
it's out, short. So I do all that. Yeah, it was short, but I mean, Cedence. You know that these people own TikTok, right? So this is ByteDance as well. It is incredibly accurate. There's Kenny sent one the other day. I forget if you put it in our family group chat, but it's the Star Wars one where he's talking about how we need more data. I don't know. It's funny. So it's a good one, but it's so accurate. Like, you're like, whoa, this is getting bad. They had one that was Attack on Titan, but they made it real, like not cartoon, and it's real, and you're just like, whoa. But okay, see it. So like Darkseid and Superman. Yeah. All this is AI.
Yeah.
You're like, what movie is this from? And then you realize it's not.
Yeah.
Like, that's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. It's impossible to prosecute because people are doing it in such droves. I don't know, how you control it.
That's so good.
Yeah, well.
No more actors, no more anything.
Well, I am still looking at actors, even though they're being used.
Scary times, mother, scary times. But it's just crazy. The Tom Cruise one and Bad Pitt? Incredible. But
yeah,
Yeah, the jobs are being taken over. Ready? So here's this new one that I wanted to bring up. This is an AI firm called Rilla. Oh, AI Rilla, Rilla.
Okay.
So we went from no, AI is just to help us out. It's not going to take jobs over. These people are literally saying, "Hey, we have a bot that will do the work for you and work 70 hours a week nonstop.
Yeah.
You don't need to hire anymore." So now we're at the point where it's let's just take the jobs. You went from it's not going to take jobs.
That's what was on the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's what my point on the Super Bowl. These people doing jobs and it looked like they were the laziest shits in the world, or that they were overworked. Don't worry, just go home. Let AI do it.
Yeah.
So basically saying we don't need you anymore.
Yeah. So it literally says right here, in simple terms, it puts a premium on long work hours, typically 9 to 9, 6 days a week. So you have to turn it off once, right? If you want to, not even if you have to, just to bring costs down. So they're like, yeah, but you don't have to. Or, like, it's done. Like, you don't have to hire anymore. We have these bots that you can buy, not pay, just pay the electric bill and you're good. So now we're really at the point where we went from no, AI is just going to support, it's going to do, it's going to help people in their fields. And now it's like, no, we're just going to take over the field. You don't need anyone anymore. I'm just waiting to get fired. I'm waiting for YouTube to go.
Well, I mean, I have seen some people are now talking about it, and I'm glad to see it, that they're saying, so what happens, like who's preparing when all these jobs get taken over by AI?
Right.
You know, Mr. Musk tells me you won't have to work. You won't have to do anything. Your food will be brought to you. You'll live in your house. It'll be paid for, blah, 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 blah.
The utopia.
Well, that's not appealing to me because I don't want to just sit around all day and look at social media or TVs or do my nails. Some people want to have a purpose in life. And not that job is the only thing that defines them, but that's one of the things they produce, they provide for their family. Good luck to men. And I know that sounds sexist, but that has been their role since Adam and Eve, to provide. Women have stepped into that role now, but you know, I hate to say it, but what are men going to do now? What is their existence? They're just going to be the genders, which is their goal. Nobody's going to stand out for anything. You're all just going to be blobs on a sofa.
Well, it's so deep now that there's I believe it's a South Korean company that's doing AI sex robots. So they actually work, and it's like, okay, so now, hold on. Why do I have to provide for a robot? I don't have to provide for another person. I can have a robot. I don't want kids anyway. Like that kind of mentality works out. And they're pretty damn realistic. You're like, whoa. So we're getting to all those dystopia. The dystopia that is going to be advertised as a utopia is coming. Damn, someone write that on the goddamn shirt and say
no, that's exactly it.
That was a quote.
I know they're thinking of it, and everyone's so, you know, I'm not sweating over Hollywood. I will say this, though. Okay, this AI is great. You don't need actors anymore. Okay. Say I didn't know Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt, and you just put two faces on there. I don't care. I'm not going to watch it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there is something to be said for an identity of a superstar. Like, you showed me Cavill and somebody else. Put another face on Superman. Okay, that's pretty cool with that. You knew that other character, but I don't really care that much because you're not identifying with one of those people.
Right.
Like the Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise, they were specifically chosen because those are two superstars that at one point were like competing, if you will, for the good-looking guy, main guy, lead guy roles, right? So there's a reason why they chose those two. I do think there's something to be said. There will be a handful of celebrity AI people. Those are the faces they'll use. The nobodies and the B-level actors, they're done.
This replaces the stunt actors too. Like stunt doubles, you don't need them anymore.
Yep. Yeah, you don't need them anymore.
Yeah, it's done. Now that it's AI. So we just killed that industry. So it's gonna just start.
I don't need a set anymore
it's gonna
because I can just pump in anything. Yeah. I don't need any background or anything. So
all right, we're at an hour 22, probably a little longer because we had to split this, but I do want to go through your cannabis one if you can give us the overview. So the truth on cannabis psychosis.
Believe it or not, there are two articles, but it's quick because I have spoken about Alex Bernstein before. Berenson, sorry. He wrote an article. He used to work at the Times. He wrote an article. I've mentioned it before. His wife, I think it's the same one. She was somehow worked with people with cannabis, I think in the prison system. So he documented, fast forward, the New York Times, and I posted that one. They finally admitted we've got a marijuana problem. And he was screaming this horn, how many years ago when he wrote this book. What was it? Tell your kids. Yeah, tell your children. It's not the same cannabis. It's leading to a lot of psychosis, a lot of problems with people. It's also, they didn't do any drugs. They were only on marijuana when they shot up an entire school of kids. This goes back to what we're saying before. Blood tests should become mandatory with any sort of school shootings, any sort of violent crime out there, because too many times from, his wife interviewing people or whoever the person was in the prison system, it always was, I started with marijuana that day. Right? The marijuana is not the same for when I was younger. It's much more potent, and there's I don't know what's going on with it.
They've changed it. Here's the problem. I think marijuana was at a height probably 10 years ago. Then they legalized like gummies and stuff. So people went, oh, these are not as bad because I'm not smoking it. And then they started upping the dosages on those. And then they regulated it because they said you can't just put crazy dosages in. And then once it got regulated, people went, okay, now it's time to go to other sources of marijuana. And I'm saying this through experiences that friends that I do know who smoke. So then they go back to regular smoking because now it's stronger than what you can get at stores. Now, here's the other problem, though. Then that got leveled up to THC drinks, which are just straight concentrations of marijuana, right? I have a friend who she'll do those marijuana drinks. She's like a whole different person. Luckily she just becomes like a deadhead and not something crazy. But if someone who does get crazy on marijuana had one of those, I think the THC it would be way worse than if they smoked it. So the levels have changed. As this guy says.
And a lot of this has to do with individuals who start at a young age and they consistently do it. And then all of a sudden they reach a point where it becomes, it affects them mentally. I only bring it up because finally the New York Times, of all places, is catching up and they're seeing the cost to states. Because now you've got to do rehab for these people. You have to pay for their incarceration, all because we had to legalize marijuana. Oh, well, people are going to do it anyhow. You know what? But we didn't have to pay for it before. Now it's costing in lives, people getting killed, like drunk driving, but they're not doing marijuana in the car. No, they're smoking at home and they're getting behind a wheel. The mental health industry, right? Leading to other issues. You know what? Who knows? And I'm being hypothetical. Maybe that person in Canada who shot up those people was on hormone drugs. Maybe for years they did marijuana when they were younger. And maybe that had an impact when you mix the hormone drugs. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it also...
It's not harmless anymore.
It's one of those things where I think marijuana kind of changes... I think some people have some underlying issues. So, for instance, like Brett, I always thought her name was Bretta Cooper, but Brett Cooper, she had a post that says, now my brother went from, basically he has a full diagnosed schizophrenia now, and it's because of, most likely he was smoking weed at a young age. I think those things like schizophrenia are underlying issues, and then smoking excessive amounts brings it out, and then you can't go back from that. And I think that's what you see a lot more.
But we don't know.
Right.
It could be, but we do not know.
What I just did is bro science. On the flip
side, it helps a lot of people with PTSD. Because it does have an impact on the brain when you have an issue. But it needs to be controlled. And it's not, point is, we turned it into recreational. Oh, it's no worse than drinking.
Yeah,
that was
you
the
can do it
mantra
20
when I
times
was
a
younger.
day. Yeah.
That might have been true in the 1960s and 70s. And even that I question a little bit, maybe even the 80s, but it's a very different drug now. It's not it's just like having a drink. And that's the lie that they have told young people and the lie that parents have bought into when their kid's a pothead. Well, I did too when I was younger. It's not a big deal. He or she will outgrow it. Okay. There are more ramifications to it. And now even some, last resort paper like the New York Times is realizing, hey, this is costing our society. Was it worth legalizing this?
Yeah.
People said it back then when they wanted to legalize it. You know what? Accidents are going to go through the roof. Crime will go through the roof. All these things happen when you legalize it, and we still wind up paying because now we got to pay for free rehab for all these people. Another exercise in futility. It's going to turn into be another mistake. Only this time it's not just regular marijuana. Now you got kids with some serious issues.
Yeah.
Kids, adults with issues.
Yeah. All right, Mom. We just did probably an hour 40, I would say. So a little longer podcast, but it was a busy week. We're kind of doing this one midday because I was busy yesterday. It's Sunday, so now I have to edit this. And I got to go. I was supposed to do the cooking show with Aunt Sue today, so I'll have to do that on Wednesday with her. But we'll end it there. The only things I have to promote, we had still doing the build for the Hogwarts Lego. Still going through that. We had the podcast last week, which is on Spotify, so go check that out. The walkthrough for Niho has started, Niho 3, so go check that out. And then I have a bunch of other videos coming out this week on things. I should be here most of the week. I might have a trip on Tuesday, but that's about it. So social media, promo code Streamlinks, Discord, and hopefully I will see you guys next week, and hopefully you'll see Mom next week as well. So laters.